Good evening. It's Thursday, January 27th. We begin this evening with a second arrest in the death of a 6-month-old baby.
Sharice Ingram has turned herself in to police. Our Megan Packer has the latest.
She is Sean and Allen. She was supposed to go before a judge here this afternoon. That has now been pushed until tomorrow. The 22-year-old is facing a few different charges, including party to the crime aggravated assault and party to the crime aggravated murder. Warrants we obtained today state Ingram was driving the car that DeQuasie Little was firing a gun out of Monday afternoon in northwest Atlanta. According to the warrant, Ingram was speeding behind the wheel while chasing another car, while Little shot a pistol at the car. A bullet ended up hitting an unrelated vehicle with a 6-month-old Grayson Fleming Gray inside. Baby Grayson was killed. His mother, Carrie Gray, was driving and pulled over to discover her son had been hit.
I have cried into clothes, begging God, somebody, anybody to bring him back because I wasn't done loving him. And I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to go from here and what I'm supposed to do with my life now.
I spoke with Carrie Gray over the phone today. She was at the funeral home planning her baby's funeral. She did want to share that there is a public viewing set for Monday from 4 to 8 p.m. at Willie A. Watkins Funeral Home. We are live at the Fulton County Jail. Megan Packer, CBS 46 News.
Megan, thank you. Now to a murder mystery in Gwinnett County. Rockbridge police have found a man dead inside a crashed car, but it wasn't the collision that killed him. Investigators say he had been shot before losing control and crashing right in the front yard of a home. This morning, that homeowner found the driver alive and says he was trying to speak to him.
He wanna talk to me something, but me don't understand what he saying.
The homeowner couldn't make out what the driver was saying and called 911 immediately, but by the time police got there, the driver was no longer speaking and he ended up dying. Anyone with information is asked to contact Rockbridge Police.
Nearly a decade after a South Georgia teenager's body was found rolled up inside a gym mat, the Loudoun County Sheriff in Valdosta ruled the boy's death an accident. Sheriff Ashley Polk reopened the case 10 months ago and said he is now 100% sure there was no foul play. CBS 46's Adam Murphy is live in Midtown with the very latest on this case. Adam, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. The sheriff calling this a terrible accident, saying at least one person had informed them and testified that students would often store belongings in these school gym mats and that they would then climb into these large mats to get their belongings. The sheriff goes on to say that he pointed out that there did not appear to be any signs of blunt force trauma on Johnson's face or body when he re-looked at this case. Now, Sheriff Polk reopened the case after obtaining 17 boxes of federal case documents from various agencies, including the FBI and Department of Justice. He looked at data pertaining to where Johnson's body was found in the mat, autopsy findings stating cause of death as asphyxiation, and camera placement at the school. Still, Johnson's parents believe the Sheriff's Department is covering up the truth. They believe someone killed their son since one of 3 autopsies performed on their son listed the cause of death as blunt force trauma.
Look at the evidence. Something y'all have not done. Look at the evidence. Look at the findings. Don't take his word for it. Look at it.
Now, we should also point out in the sheriff's synopsis, he says the FBI stated unequivocally that this investigation did not involve any sort of cover-up or conspiracy. Still, the Johnsons disagree with that and said they will continue to fight until the truth comes out. We're going to have more on this developing story coming up next hour. Live in Midtown Atlanta, Adam Murphy, CBS 46 News.
Developing late this afternoon, Dunwoody police arrest one of their own. Sergeant Robert Parsons, now in the DeKalb County Jail, charged with drunk driving. Police arrested him late Tuesday night after he crashed his car on Sumac Drive. Sergeant Parsons has been placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. CBS 46 investigates progress on park security in your neighborhood.
Atlanta City Council approved legislation to address safety measures last summer, but one city councilman argues little has been done. The legislation came just weeks after the brutal murder of Katie Jeunesse in Piedmont Park, which sparked concerns about park security across Atlanta.
However, the latest stats provided by APD show park crimes make up just 1.3% of all crimes in Atlanta.
CBS 46's Rachel Polanski is live in Piedmont Park this evening, digging into plans for increased security. Rachel.
Atlanta City Council tasked APD and Parks and Rec with evaluating, developing, and eventually implementing surveillance cameras at 20 city parks, including here at Piedmont, where a memorial for Katie Jeunesse and her dog Bowie still remains. But 5 months later, some city council members say nothing has happened. It has been nearly 6 months since this chilling 911 call.
Please help.
You said somebody's dead at Piedmont Park?
Yes, ma'am.
And no suspects have been publicly identified in the July stabbing death of 40-year-old Katie Jeunesse at Piedmont Park.
Sir, I'm at the entrance of Piedmont Park. I just was searching for my girlfriend's purse because I couldn't find her. She's dead. She's here at Piedmont Park.
And just a few days earlier, police responded to the shooting death of a 17-year-old, Jakari Dillard at Anderson Park.
He was a very selfless person. Like, he put everybody before him.
Our CBS 46 investigation started out with a simple request to the Atlanta Police Department, asking for any public documents, including bids or quotes, associated with the installation of surveillance cameras at Piedmont Park. APD told us that we'd have to reach out to Atlanta Department of Parks and Recreation, who told us we'd have to reach out to Piedmont Park Conservancy, a nonprofit that manages the park, who sent us right back to APD. And that's when we decided to reach out to Atlanta City Council to find out who's overseeing this effort.
You should not have begun to run around on an open records request from either department. They should have responded because they have done work. They work collaboratively because they reported to the committee collaboratively on the effort.
Councilman Michael Bond is talking about a September committee meeting in which APD and Parks and Rec presented these findings that also highlighted crime statistics in city parks from 2018 through September of 2021. Robert W. Woodruff Park had the most violent crimes with 23, followed by Rosa L. Birney with 16. South Bend, Grant, and Piedmont Parks all had 11 violent crimes.
It's like after that report, absolutely nothing has been done.
I took those concerns directly to APD, who denied the claims, telling me they have begun evaluating and developing their security plans. Chief Rodney Bryant would acknowledge, though, that a funding source has yet to be identified by APD or Parks and Rec.
When you're talking about two different departments, when the budget is already set, both of us have to have some conversation.
I also questioned him about APD's progress in rehiring retired officers to patrol city parks, another ordinance that was passed by City Council last year.
We have a stagnant list of people, and it's just a matter of us addressing that funding and then going back to that list to see if people are still willing to come back and work.
Answers that don't sit well with Councilman Bond as the weeks and months pass by.
I'm really disappointed that we haven't seen more from both Parks and APD in this specific effort.
Now, the Department of Parks and Rec responded to my emails about an hour ago, telling me that my initial requests went to various departments and they apologized for the runaround, adding that they have begun implementing this security plan. I'm still waiting to find out about when that installation of cameras will begin. Reporting live from Piedmont Park tonight, Rachel Polanski, CBS 46 News.
Lawmakers vowing to keep critical race theory out of Georgia schools. The topic coming under the Gold Dome this week. At least 9 states, including Tennessee, South Carolina, have already passed laws banning the teaching of certain concepts dealing with racism and sexism. CBS 46's Haley Mason live at the state capitol tonight with a debate about your child's education. Haley.
Sean, this is one of the more divisive bills coming out of the Senate Republican caucus's top priority list. It aims to stifle some difficult conversations about race and racism in Georgia schools.
State Senator Bo Hatchett is the lead sponsor of Senate Bill 377. It prohibits the teaching of critical race theory in Georgia schools, K through 12, up through state colleges.
We must ensure that no student is taught to feel guilty or less than because of how they were born.
The bill blocks lessons that teach that Georgia or the U.S. are fundamentally or systemically racist. It also bans divisive topics that would make someone feel, quote, discomfort, guilt, or any other form of psychological distress because of their race or ethnicity.
They should not be taught that an individual, solely because of his or her race, ethnicity, or skin color, is inherently racist. oppressive, or has some type of prejudice.
Senate Democrats are already poised to vote against it.
The problem is that can be a very subjective measure. And how do you then create a policy that is subjective in nature?
The bill says that any college or entity that violates the rules could be subject to a review process, then could face losing state or state-issued federal funding while the process plays out. Senator Sonia Halpern says she thinks this just makes things harder for teachers. It adds it's okay for children to feel uncomfortable with some topics if it's age appropriate and part of learning.
If somebody feels sad or upset, that's not always necessarily a bad thing. I felt terrible when I saw Roots as a child. And that's good. I should feel terrible when I see depictions of slavery the way that I saw. But a white student who sees that, who also feels sad about it, that's not necessarily a terrible thing.
Do a tag for 9. Now, just to note, this bill does not prohibit the discussion of race in the larger context of a classroom curriculum, just the way the parts of it that would make someone feel bad about themselves because of their race or ethnicity. It does also call schools to form a complaint system where the principal or a designee would have to respond within a 5-school-day period of time. And just in the last hour, I learned yet another CRT bill was just filed in the state Senate. Reporting live in the Capitol, Haley Mason, CBS 46 News.
Thanks for watching CBS 46 News. Watch us live wherever you are, our mobile and our streaming news app. You can also watch us on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.